Folks, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley. What is she doing? Putting a leg into traffic as she's walking. That's odd. I'm driving home. Gonna ramble a little bit, say hello to you guys. I've actually kicked out a bunch of videos, but I haven't edited or done anything. Just kind of been busy with stuff. So lots of work, lots of criminal cases, lots of personal injury cases, and yeah, man, just dealing with stuff, handling the business. Sometimes the fun of kicking out a video that there's not enough time in the day or just swamped. Sometimes it's dark and I can't make one as I'm driving, or I haven't got to the green screen room or had Mario shoot anything. So, funny story. I'm walking out with some girls in another law office. And one of the young ladies says to me, she goes, "Hey Roger, you want some chocolate?" And I was like, I'm too chubby. Like I need to relax on the chocolate. And she goes, "Oh yeah, the boss gave us some chocolate today, but I don't really eat chocolate." And she had this big box of chocolate. And I kind of looked and I was like, And the funny thing is, what do you think about Trump case? I don't know. I kind of did a video about the Trump case, but let me tell you about my chocolate case. So she says, "Oh, our boss gave us the chocolate." So I was like, "Oh, let me look." And I kind of looked at it. And honestly, I kind of thought it was Easter candy, right? Easter's coming up. And I looked at it. Then one of the other girls, who she also got a box of chocolate, she says, "I don't know, it looks like Christmas stuff." So we're going down the elevator. It's like me, 3 women, right? My receptionist, a couple other women from other offices. And the one lady sees, she goes, the one that offered me the chocolate, she looks at the date and it says that the chocolate expired on January 5th, 2023. And then of course, as we went down the elevator, everyone started cracking jokes on the big highfalutin attorney in town. On boxes for $1 at the dollar store. They're all expired. It starts handing them out to staff. It's like, "Hey, thanks for doing a good job. Here's your expired candy." I don't know. I just thought that shit was funny. Yeah. So had a good experience not too long ago, and I did a video on it, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But had a client not too long ago that was charged with a crime. And I always talk about this. I look at Facebook, and mostly Facebook, they have these little things on where like you see a bunch of dogs or you see a bunch of horses or cats or something, and there's something wrong in one of the pictures. Right now, sometimes it's like 629, 629, 629, and then there'll be a 929. So they want you to find the flaws, right? I don't know. My brain has always been very good at that. I'll be flicking through Facebook and before I don't even read the question, I'm like, there's wrong, right? Like, that kind of thing. So I took on this client's case. It's in another jurisdiction and it's a fairly serious case. And there's some other allegations that could involve another case, right? But I went, all right. And I didn't know about that. Now the sun's going to hit me in the face here. So I get the discovery and I call over to the state and I go, "Hey," I'm asking for discovery. "Hey, we already got a trial set like this jurisdiction. They set trials like, hey, nice to meet you. You ready for trial tomorrow?" I mean, it's one of those things, right? So I'm in hostile territory, right? I don't want to not be prepared. And part of me being, I like to think, a good attorney is doing my due diligence, reviewing the discovery, making sure I know it better. And here we go with the people that are stopping on a line where it's supposed to accelerate. You got to be kidding me. The world. You got a line to accelerate a merge lane. No one comes in the merge lane except you, silly. All right. So I want to have all the discovery. I want to review with my client. I want to look up the statute. I look at the jury instructions, right? There's a whole bunch of things. Well, on this case, I know that there's some notice requirements, in regards to the statute where they have to tell you this and they have to tell you that. and these kinds of warnings, kind of like a trespass case, right? Like the sign has to be so big and the letters have to be so many inches, etc. Right? So I already knew this, but I didn't know some of the other factors that I needed to know when I was hoping to get that through the discovery. And I'm being general on purpose because I have a video about it. So I'm looking and I'm like, I see the officer like in the discovery, there's a bunch of pictures of things, and then the cop's got his body camera on. And you're not going to believe this, guys, because we call it manufacturing of evidence, right? It's creating a crime where there's no crime. Now, I'm not saying the officer did it, so all my conspiracy followers there, hang on a second, no conspiracy here. So the alleged victim calls the police out to the crime scene and says, look, right? And you watch the police officer get out of the vehicle and you see the crime scene. So you see what's there, you see what's not there. It's the craziest thing. I've never had a case like this in my career. And the officer walks over and he has a camera and he's taking a picture of one part of the scene. Now, again, his body camera is on his chest, right? So when he gets out of his car, we see this whole scene. So we see what's there, we see what's not there. So the cop walks over, let's just say station A. So the cop starts taking pictures, click, 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 and I see them in the discovery. Now the cop takes pictures of where he just was, where the video camera took, and he walks over and now there's evidence there. But a second ago, there wasn't evidence there, and my mind just was like, nope. So I played in my mind, as I went through the video, I was like, wait a second, what? Like, I don't see, what? So I go back in the video when I take screenshots. I got a Mac, and I start taking screenshots as I go, because they're going through the crime scene, right? So, I don't know, whatever you want to think, right? You want to think knives, guns, weapons, bullets, da-da-da, right? So I'm looking at evidence, but there's already pictures in the discovery of these things. Guess what, though? The body camera actually shows the victim planting evidence at the crime scene. The cop didn't see it. You go, how could the cop not see it? Because he started, let's say it's A to Z. He started at the first part of the scene, A, and then went to B, then went to C. But the people in front of him, the victims, they were walking through the scene before he gets there, or as he gets there, because he's concentrating on one and they don't have anything taped off yet or anything. And they start putting things that the officer now photographs, records, etc. So I call the prosecutor, trying to get, set up a meeting, all that stuff. And the prosecutor, very, very nice lady, she goes, and I haven't had a case with her. Again, it's a far, far away land. I've been there once before on a big case a few years ago on a carjacking, burglary, battery, robbery, and was fortunate enough to win that case. So I call her up and I say, this is what's going on. Victim planted an empty box of chocolates. Could be. Or donuts, but so I'm walking, I call the prosecutor, we have an appointment set up and we're talking. And I say, hey, this is what's outlined, this is what's going on, I got your stuff, but I'm still missing some other evidence. Your assistant's working on it, hoping you can get it for me. But even before we get to that, I think that there's an issue with the case, and I think it's a dispositive issue, meaning it's an issue of so important that if I filed the motion to dismiss, I think the judge would grant it. Now, you never know, hostile territory. So the prosecutor, she's listening. I said, I said, you're at your computer? She goes, yes, I go, I'm going to send you file 1. And I send her file 1, and the file 1 is my snapshots that I took of the screen of the body camera. And I walked her through, and I'm like, look at 1 minute 2 seconds, look at 1 minute 10 seconds, right? And I have them all labeled in order. And I said, hey, don't mind number 6. It says planting evidence, no crime. I said, just ignore my words. I got a little excited when I made the discovery, because I've never seen it. And all of a sudden she's like, And she's, let me look at 7. So we look at 7 together, and we're kind of doing she's looking and I'm looking at it, and I'm walking her through what I see. And she's like, holy crap, I've been doing this for a while too, and I've never seen it. And she goes, basically what you're telling me, Mr. Foley, I said, call me Roger. She's telling me, I don't have a case. That's what you're telling me. I go, well, before I file motions and stuff, I always find it helpful to reach out to the prosecution and show them, what I see, and, weak, arguments, the weaknesses and the strengths of the case, and discuss them. But I'm hoping that you see it the way I'm seeing it. But the victim and people sort of planted manufactured evidence here. And so I don't think there's really a case against my client. And she's like, holy crap. And she just says, what she said to me? It was just cool. It's just nice to hear it from a prosecutor, right? Because there's always that adversarial thing. She said, thank you for being a criminal defense attorney. Thank you for doing it the right way. She goes, there's cases where things pop up and there's issues, but she goes, I'm so used to, attorneys go, blah, 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 you got to go look for yourself. She's like, you took my own discovery. You gave me screenshots. You labeled stuff. You set it out. And then it was in 5 minutes, you were able to walk me through the problems with my case. And she goes, look, let's talk in, a couple of days. And, but, the case will probably be dismissed by then. And, woohoo, right? Like, you get excited. I'm a kid, right? Like, part of my job is finding mistakes. I really didn't think that my client had committed a crime, but you never know, right? I listen to my clients and do what they say, but I got to follow the evidence, what they can prove, what they can't prove, and then listen to them and, hear on one side and read the police report on the other. So, it was just luck. So anyway, case dismissed. What else did I have? I had, sometimes I had a couple of the sad calls, right? The mental illness. Just made me think I got to file in on a case that I just got. I didn't finish doing that today. Got to do that. Been working on some PI cases, and I started looking, my offices, we're starting to do medical malpractice cases. And I'm very selective on them. They're very difficult because the statute requires you to have an expert, and for that expert to sign off on it to prove that the standard of care, wasn't there. So you have to start with an expert that does that. So you could spend 10, 20, 30,000 right in the beginning just to get the expert, for him or her to analyze the evidence, right? To see if what you think as an attorney, right? You don't have the medical background. I'm not a doctor, right? I don't have a PhD in medicine. So you have to hire these experts. So, but what I'm finding is friends, family, myself, these little stresses of going to the doctor's office. And again, I'm not anti-doctor. I have some friends that are doctors, great people. But sometimes there's just neglect. There's no other way to say it. My dad was in the hospital recently. They tried to give him another person's medication. Had to compete with these MP mills. MP mills? What's an MP mill? I don't know what an MP... What's MP? Hit me up on the screen. MP. I'm assuming you mean like these big, huge law firms with hundreds, thousands of attorneys. If that's what you're talking about. MP. What is MP? I don't know. You mean PI? Oh, malpractice. Well, here's the thing. Who's that? Steven. I don't compete with anybody. I compete with myself to be better. That's who I compete with. I don't, I look at all the commercials. I was sitting in a dentist chair last week and I kind of started giggling. I was on laughing gas though. And I was like, what the hell? How do these people get hired? We're going to fight for your rights. Call us. We're the biggest. We're the best. We're this, we're that, right? Like that's like humorous to me, right? Who's the biggest and who's the best, right? I don't know. Maybe you have the most law attorneys, maybe you have the most paralegals, maybe you're the biggest in the state, maybe the biggest in the country. Who knows? I don't know. My competition is not with the lawyer next door or the lawyer across the street. My competition is with myself to be better today than I was yesterday. That means reading the law. That means investigating the case. That's what it is. And I saw something on TV the other day. It wasn't TV, but I think it was like a YouTube thing. And it's it's talking about competition, right? And I've had that issue in criminal defense. Years ago, I had a few attorneys that were, kind of talking crap about me, and they're like, "Oh, you think you're great?" I'm like, "Well, I don't think I'm not great, right? I mean, you have to have confidence doing this job, right? So, but am I an egotistical prick? No. Am I confident in my abilities to work hard and to do everything I can for my client? I'm pretty confident that I will always work hard. I work hard, but what I do in my office, what I do for my clients, right, has nothing to do with what the law firm down the street does or what the people across the street do or the people down the hallway. I mean, there's a lawyer, like, my goodness, like, there's a personal injury and a criminal defense lawyer. I don't know, like, if I'm in traffic, like, I could probably, the 10 cars around me, my goodness, I bet you the 4 or 5 of them are either personal injury or criminal defense attorneys, right? There's an abundance. It's, like, I could give you all the lawyer jokes too, right? The rabbits, there's so many roaches, they just multiply. I get it, right? There's attorneys that I like and respect, and there's attorneys that I think are like roaches. I get it. I get the jokes. How many lawyers does it take to settle a personal injury case? I don't know. How many does it take to hold, light? Though takes one to do it and 17 to tell you how they know better than the guy that's doing it, right? I don't get caught up in that BS. My allegiance, my alliance is with the man upstairs. I pray that I can do the best job I can do, and I ask him for the strength and the ability to work on the case and to make a difference in my client's life. That's all I can do, and that's what I try to do. It's not about, hey, that billboard said that they got $67 billion. Cool. I'm glad that client, got 7% or 60% minus the, whatever their expenses were. But how much are your expenses if you got all those people, right? I don't know. I'm not a huge office. We got me, we got a receptionist, we got an attorney that does some legal research. We have 2 paralegals that work from home. I'm a worker bee. I do all of the work. My hand is on every single case, and I argue every single case. So honestly, kudos to the biggest, the best, the highest rated, all that stuff. That's not my competition. My competition is myself and being a little bit better than I was yesterday. That's it. So medical malpractice is very difficult, Steve. It's like I said, you got to get that expert. And what I've noticed is the majority of people look for, and this is what I think is important, people look for the slam dunks, right? But again, I was in the hospital with my dad, and I get sad thinking about it. My dad's got a medical issue right now, and I'm scared. And I want them to pull through, and I want the doctors to be on their game, right? Some things are fixable, some things aren't fixable. There's a standard of care. You should walk into 10 out of 10 doctors and they should all have the same approach, but we know that that's not always true, right? But what I'm seeing, like I said, I'm sitting in a hospital And the nurse comes over and is giving my dad some medicine. And he's like, what is that? Well, the doctor ordered it. No, he didn't. I have the prescriptions that my doctor, I have them all written down. That's none of those. My dad knows what he takes. And then he's got to convince the nurse. She's like, no, you got to take it. He's like, I'm not taking that. Now, what if he would have taken it? What if he would have taken that and had a stroke or a heart attack or something would have caused it? Sometimes it's in the paperwork, right? Sometimes that standard of care is carelessness. It's not looking at things. I mean, the nurse was taking, oxygen reading. Oxygen was good. It was like 97%, 99%, that kind of thing. And then she writes down that it was 94. No, she said 95. And I'm like, huh? Like, I look at her, I was like, yeah, I got my camera in my hand. I just took a snapshot of his blood pressure, his heart rate, and his oxygen. And she's like, oh no, it was 94. I'm like, that kind of thing. So is it important that you acquire your records, right? If you have a medical malpractice, you believe that the standard of care wasn't sufficient and you were harmed in some way. Start with the medical records, right? Acquire all those medical records because it's going to help you, because it's going to keep the cost down, right? If I, as an attorney, start ordering all your medical records, guess what? You're going to pay for them. They're going to come out later, right? And if nothing comes of the case, or there's not a case, or the expert doesn't sign off on the case, or we lose the case, whatever it may be, that's a cost. But you can get that for free. You just, the hospital, the doctor, everywhere you go, say, I'd like a copy for my personal records. They have to give it to you. It's free, right? So if you think you have a medical malpractice, the first thing you want to do is get to an attorney, but you want to have your records. No, I don't want a bunch of paper copies. I don't want a bunch of x-rays carried into my office. They should all be on a thumb drive, not a CD like they give them to you at the hospital sometimes, because no one has CDs anymore, on a thumb drive. Because then I can take some of my time and I can look through them. I can listen to your complaint. I can look through it. I can go, do I see something that's wrong? Was the wrong medication prescribed that caused you to have a stroke, or your loved one, or right, something like that? And I can look at that. You're probably too honest to go heal with these other goons. Maybe, brother, but you know what? God provides, right? I have clients, I have business, I'm always busy, right? I mean, it's 7 o'clock, I'm on my way home. This is almost like an early day for me. The sun's still out. So I'm always going to do it the honest way. I'm not going to cheat to win. But I can't take every case. There are cases that are out of my league financially that I go, I can't take that case. I don't have the revenue. But what can I do in those cases, right? I can know who the good attorneys are in town. I can know who the law firms are that have a team that are doing it the right way, right? That have the manpower and the pockets, and I can align myself with them. I can share a case. We can file a petition with the circuit court, and we can share fees. No more extra fee to the client, but we can share fees. And I can do it. Or if I see someone just would be in better hands, I could refer the case, right? If an attorney refers, a medical malpractice or any kind of personal injury case, and he does it the proper way in accordance with the Florida bar, if I did that, and let's say I sent, I don't know, one of these, if I sent one of the big law firms a case that was worth $10 million, right? Let's say that, whatever, $10 million, and they got $4 million, right? You know what I get? Take a guess. I got $1 million. I get 25% of a case that I referred. Now you might go, my goodness, might be more profitable just to refer cases. Well, the Florida bar doesn't want you to do that, right? It's not ethical. You don't want to advertise for something that you don't do, right? You're better off collaborating. But if it's a case that I can't handle, or if I'm too busy, right? I mean, I reject cases every week. Refer them to, who's that? Murdoch firm. Yeah. All right, Steve. Yeah, so the money can get stolen. Man, you know, that's the thing. A lot of doctors have a God complex. A lot of attorneys have a God complex. People are people. There are people that are on the ball, right? Squared away, as you know, the military would say. There are people that are discombobulated, that, you know, are slacking, lazy, don't look for details. You have that in every profession. And the saddest thing is, even in good medical firms, good law firms, sometimes someone slips by, or someone's lazy, or someone's preoccupied with their personal life, and shit happens. I do my best to make sure that those mistakes don't happen. But I've made mistakes in criminal defense, and I fix them instantly, you know. How do you like your new truck? Hey, Thomas. I like it. You know, the turning radius on the F-150 is nowhere near what it was on my 2006 Nissan Titan. I could spin around with the Titan, and, you know, I like the drive of the Titan. But when I go to make a U-turn in the F-150, my goodness, it's really a wide radius. I'm like trying to get it as tight as I can to make the turn, and I've had to back up on U-turns. So the looks of it, right? The whole sliding sunroof, that's probably cool until I flip over a few times and the glass falls in and, you know, cuts my artery or something, right? It's all cool until then. I don't know how strong that stuff is. But I like it. The digital stuff, the dashboard's pretty, you know, nice. The screen is nice. I do kind of like a bench seat like I had in my Nissan, but they don't have the bench seat in that. So, you know, that gives me a little peace from the missus when she's trying to cuddle up every second. I'm like, no, I'm kidding. But I bust her chops about that, because in the Nissan, she could kind of lean up next to me if she wanted to, you know, on a drive or something. And I'm like, honey, you got to stay seated, you know, like, so, but I like it. It's a nice truck. It drives nice. Gas is ridiculous right now. The Sunoco in Jupiter, it's like $5.79 for 93. That's insane. $5.99, something like that. So I've been looking for the Wawas and the racetracks, but man, every time I fill up, it's like $100 and something bucks. So yeah, I'm gonna start calculating more mileage, because yeah, I don't know. Like, it's when I'm driving to Orlando for a case, or I'm driving to Naples for a case, or you guys know I'm all over the place. I'm in Key West, like. I don't got the little Kia anymore. You know, I had the Telluride, great truck, awesome truck. I even had the Kia Stinger. You know, not as big a fan of the Stinger. It was okay. Not enough space for me. But yeah, man, I like the truck. The truck's nice. It looks nice. I just gotta wax it more. I've only waxed it once. I've only had it a month, but I gotta wax it, and I'm cheap to pay $200 or $300 for someone to wax it when I can get off my butt and do it in the thing. You got electric? Yeah, I got electric. Yeah, electric in the beginning, like it's, I don't know, part electric, part gas, but I'm still putting, man, I'm putting $100 and something bucks, like twice a week. My puppy's outside waiting for me. The one great thing about having dogs, guys, and gals, I don't know who's looking and who watches this. When can I do if I can't afford a real lawyer? My public defender's failed to bring any evidence. I've submitted or called one of my witnesses. You know, if you watch my video on 10 things to say to your public defender, look out, baby girl. My baby girl's walking in my route. Hey, baby. If your public defender or your private attorney, just so you know, guys, there's private attorneys that are lazy too, right? You got to motivate them. So everything's in an email. That's how you motivate. Listen, you're not a lawyer, sir, right? You're not a lawyer. I didn't see it was a ma'am or sir, whoever it was. You're not a lawyer, but you're not dumb, and you should have an active interest in your case. Get a copy of the discovery, look at it, right? Remember, when you have a public defender, is there anything that prevents you from going to interview with another attorny. A lot of attorneys do free consultations. I do a 5-minute, I give you a price, but I quit doing the 15 minutes because there's so many people asking. So I charge $150 for up to an hour. That's pretty cheap for a seasoned defense attorney, right? If it's a Florida case, you have your discovery, you send it to me, you call me up, you pay the $150, I get on the phone with you, we go over for an hour. Then I want to say, hey, you have a motion here, you may have a motion here, here's an issue that you need to get, maybe you need a CAD report, right? There are attorneys that will do consultations. It's like a second opinion. That's why I started doing it, because let's say you hire a private attorney, right? Let's say you lay out 10 grand on a case, right? Pretty common on a criminal defense case, 3rd-degree felony, you're probably spending 75, 10 grand, right? For a good attorney, maybe 15 grand, some high, I know people that charge more than that, I don't. But let's say you get that felony, right? And you just handed a guy 10 G's or a girl, and you don't feel like they're doing anything. They're not communicating with you. They're not looking at your discovery. They're not filing motions. Well, you're going, geez, I already gave him the money. I don't want to lose, right? You got a public defender. You don't have the money to go to someone else, right? But you could get a consultation with someone. You could say, hey, you know what? I have an attorney. I'd like to do a second opinion. I'd like to have you review my discovery. And, most attorneys, I don't want to say with most attorneys, I can tell you what I do. I don't compete with anybody. I compete with myself. If you had a Florida case and you called me, and I've done it, my God, I did it on a manslaughter case last year. I do it a lot. People say, oh, I hired blah, blah, blah. And he's represented the governor, right? But he won't answer my call, right? I get it all the time. Like, okay, well, what is it? Depending on the volume, right? Sometimes I'll charge $1,000 and I'll review everything. But maybe someone just wants an initial consultation. They're just up front with me and they go, look, I really don't have the money, but would you spend an hour with me? Would you spend 2 hours with me? Can I give you $300?